Okay, just to pick up yesterday, we just pick up on a new point. Gufa means we're going previous a point that Benos Yisrael, they're not muzer on psulin. So, for example, we know where a kohen can marry a chalala, where a kohen can marry a girl is a chalala, a bas kohen would be able to marry a chalal. In other words, it's a one-way street. The kohen is muzer on a chalala, but a bas Yisrael is not muzer on a chalal, can marry chalal. So let's pick up on that. Go for about 18 and 13, 14 lines up, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, about 18 lines up on Pei Dalit on the days. Gufa, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, says Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. Says Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. Like Huzru Ksherais Linase Lepsulin. Ksherais are not, there's no lav, Huzru, they're not warned to go ahead and marry Psulim. Lema Messiah from our Mishnah. Chalul Shenasa Kshera. Again, we're giving examples of that it's mutter to the husband and asa to the yavam. So if a kohen's a chalal, guys, he marries a kshera, and then she becomes a chalala because of the bia, it will be asa to the brother. It will be asa to the brother because the brother is a full-fledged kohen. So that's the case now. Chol shenasa kshera, a chol that marries a kshera, my love kohenes. Let's skip the next two words. My love kohenes. It's speaking about kohenes. Umak kshera means kashera lekahuna, and kashera is referring to what it's kasha to the kahuna. So you see that what she can marry a chalal. It says malay Yisraelis. It doesn't mean a bas kohen. It means a Yisraelis. Umay kashera lekahal. When it says kasha, it means kasha to come into kahal, not to the kahuna. Because in other words, she could be usher to the kahuna if he's a chalal. Right? If she was a bas kohen to a chalal, it would be usher. And you have no raya because if we're speaking about what a regular Israelis, and she can marry a chalal, and it's kasha to come into kahal. Fredmi hachi. So guys, so if that's the case, in other words, when it says kshera, it means kahal. Yeshlei ach kasha nami kasha lekahal. In other words, the brother would be kosher vis-a-vis the kahal, but he would be what? Apostle vis-a-vis the kahuna? Guys, you understand? In other words, it's if you can tell me kshera means to the kahal, it must be it's apostle of the kahuna. Because if it was kosher to the kahuna, it's also certainly kosher to the kahal. So when you're stressing it's kosher to the kahal, it must be it's apostle of the kahuna. Good? Says the Gemara, if that's the case, so then it wouldn't be mutter to him. He won't be mutter, which won't be mutter if he's a chalal. Elolav, it must be umidahu kayin. It must be when he is a kayin and it means mutter and he kahenes, that the girl is a kahenes, and then you'd have a raya that a kahenes is that she can marry a chalal is not warned about what? About psulim. Says in the area, hakadisa. What do you? You're not locked into saying that one is contingent upon the other. Hakadisa. Each one is speaking what? Is speaking separately. In other words, one could be speaking about kayin, the other could be speaking about a Yisraelis. You're not locked to saying just because the race is a kohen that the woman is a kohenes. So you have no raya. Masif Rava Bar Nachman, the pasuk says, "Isha zoina v'chalala le'yikachu." An isha zoina and a chalala you shouldn't take. V'isha gerusha me'ish le'yikachu, and an ish that is gerusha me'ish le'yikachu. So it says le'yikachu twice. Once by a zoina v'chalala, a kohen can't take, and once by a gerusha it says le'yikachu. Now, l'chayra, if you wanted, just tell me you can't take them. Just summarize them in one sentence. Zaina, chalala, gerusha, la yikachu. Why are you separating la yikachu? Why are you saying la yikachu, la yikachu? Melamed shel isha musheres al yedei ish, right? To teach me that what that an isha, she is warned musar al yedei ish. In other words, she is warned. She is warned al yedei ish, right, not to take a chalal. You know, that's the kasha. In other words, why are you saying lo yikachu? That's a two-way street. Just like a kohen, isha zoina lo yikachu. Why do you say the second time? That who had din, the isha is musar not to take a chalal. So in other words, this is a kasha on Yudam Rav's din, who says that women are not. It's not a two-way street. It's a one-way street from the male to the female, but the female could marry. No, you see that it's not. is that we want to say that Lo Yikachu is teaching me that no, Lo Yikachu, she would not be able to go ahead and marry. So it works both ways. Kasha, Amarava, no. Kol Heicha Dehu Musar, He Musheres. Right? The Kol Heicha Dehu Loy Musar, he Mizdara. Where he's warned, she is, and where he is, right? The Chol Heicha Dehu Loy Musar, where what she's the Chol Heicha Dehu Loy Musar, Hilu Mizdaher. The pasuk is not coming to speak lahazer ksheres amsulos that they should marry ksherim, because the kohen is just like a kohen is musar shelo yikach zayin of a halala, so she's musar that you shouldn't take. Okay, in other words, the Gemara is saying the Gemara is saying the following. Let me get my head straight. Coming to say a funny chiddush, guys. Where a kohen is warned, guys, can a kohen marry a gerusha? So therefore, there's an issur for the gerusha to marry the kohen. Where the kohen is warned, she is warned as well. Can a cholol marry kshera? So therefore, since the cholol can marry kshera, she, if she was the bas kohen, is not warned about marrying a cholol. Where the kohen is also to the woman is muzar also to marry the kohen, the whoever it is, the cholol. Conversely, so let's say you have a kohen and a gerusha, just like the kohen can marry the gerusha can marry the kohen. She's over a lot if she marries the kohen. It's not like she sits there passively. You did the issa, I'm also over an issa. That's what the Lo Yikachu is coming to teach me. Just like he is muzar Lo Yikachu, she's muzar on Lo that she should be taken. What about, however, where the kohen is not muzar? The kohen's a cholol. He can marry a kshera. So therefore, if she's a bas kohen, she can marry a cholol. That's what it's kind of. So and that's what Yehuda's din. If she's a kshera, bas kohen can marry a cholol. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. And that is Rabbi Yehuda Amarav's din. Okay, let's see one more time. So the chayra, she's muzar al yedei ish. Why are you telling me she's muzar al yedei ish? That what? That isha can't take a chalal. Amarav, no. Kol heicha dehu muzar he museres. Where he is one, she is one. So therefore, by gerusha, where he is one, she is one as well. Kol heicha delay hu loy muzar, where he is not warned. In this case, the chalal can marry kshera. He loim is the heres. The bas kohen can marry what? A chalal, which is exactly the din of what of Rabbi Yehuda Marav. Fred the Gemara v'hamei hacha nafka, that a woman is what is mitzvah in lavim. Guys, it's coming out like this: lo yikachu. Just like the man is over a lav, the woman is over a lav. Yeah. Okay. Now, mashma that you needed a lima lo yikachu to tell me women are mechuyev in all lavim of the Torah. Now we know women are pata from mitzvah seshes man grama, but they're chayiv in all loisases. Where do we know that from? The following pasuk. Now this is a limud. There's a famous limud. We should be familiar with it. Nafka. Do we learn it from lo yikachu? Midrav Yehuda Amarav nafka. Dam Rav Yehuda Amarav. The chen tana de Rabbi Yishmael. Ish or isha ki yasu mikol chatas adam. An ish or an isha who does any one of the averas for a person. Good. Ish or isha, man or woman, who do an avera. Hishva akos of isha leish. The Torah is equating a male and a female. L'chol einshin shebet Torah, with all the lavim of the Torah. So Fred the Gemara, why do I need lo yikachu to tell me that the woman, the gerusha, can marry a kohen? I know that every lav in the Torah, isha kiyasu mikol chatos, that a woman is mechuyev not to marry a kohen if she's a gerusha. So why do I need lo yikachu for? That's the kasha. Now, there's a difference inherently between the din of gerusha and the din of olav in the Torah. Gerusha is limited to the kohen. It's a unique priestly problem. As I look at the priests in front of me, it's a priestly problem, right? I said in front of me. You know what? They're gonna say it's time to duchen, and he's gonna go ahead. He's going to Canada and become a conscientious objector. He's going to avoid the war. He's going to avoid. Anyway, says the Gemara. So you got to kash it. Lo yikach, lo yikach. And the Gemara, imiahi. If you just learn that from isha, have amina lav hashav b'chol. That's by a lav that's equal to all. Then a man and a woman are equal. Avo lav shein shava b'kol, but a lav that's not equal to all, such as what? Gerusha. Loi. I would say that women are not mitzvah. Therefore, I need lo yikach to tell me no. That even though it's a lav shein shava b'kol, because Gerusha is not shava b'kol, right? That women are mitzvah. So you need both pesukim now. That's right. Says the Gemara, "V'harei tuma the lav shein shava b'kol." Tuma is a lav that's not equal to all. There's no parsha that of tuma for Yisrael. It says Emer al bnei Aaron. It's Emer al Kohanim, right? It says to the Kohanim. The Kohanim are musar on tuma v'tayra, but not bnei Yisrael. Now, it says bnei Aaron, v'lo Aaron. The time of the Koser Rachmana, the reason why women are not in the ballpark, it says bnei Aaron, v'lo Aaron. Holav hachi, without that pasuk, havamina nashim chayavos. I would have thought nashim achayev. In other words, you're telling me the following: my timer lav mishum de Rabbi Yehuda Marav. In other words, I needed a pasuk, guys, to take woman out of the kohenes, a bas kohen, out of the ballpark of tuma. I needed meaning without a pasuk, I would have said she's in the ballpark. Good. Now, what would have put her in the ballpark? I'd say Isha. Good. And therefore, I needed Bnei Aaron, Bnei Aaron to take her out of the ballpark. So you see that what? It's not, you would have, Lo Yikachu is what? That's for Gerusha. And now you're telling me Isha is the rest of the Torah. But I see by Lav that's unique to Kayin, by Tumah, I needed a pasuk to take her out. What was the pasuk that would put her in? Isha. That's the Gemara's Havamina. So if that's the pasuk that put her in, then Hajo Kashla Duchte. What I need Lo Yikachu for? Because there's no difference between a lav that's equal and a lav that's not equal. Ish Isha tells me any aver in the Torah, even if it's a aver that has to do with the Kahanim, also she's in the ballpark. And therefore you had to tell me Tumah, she's out of the ballpark. So Hajo Kashla Duchte. Why do I need Lo Yikachu to tell me that? I know it from Isha. And for the Gemara, Loi and Loi, the Garminim Lo Yikachu, right? You know, you learn it out, Lo Yikachu. It's not like you thought. It's like we answered up. If I just had Isha, I wouldn't even Isarin. You know why? I'd say what? I would say that she's not in the ballpark. But since it says Lo Yikachu, it means it's telling me that she's mechuyev, and therefore since she's mechuyev even by a lav shloi shava b'kol, she's a gerusha. She can't marry what? Right? She's musar on marrying what a kayin, even though she's a gerusha. So I need a pasuk of what of Bnei Aaron to take her out and say no, she's in the ballpark, but not that you learn that from Isha. So right now we're holding serve. Isha tells me a regular lav, and Lo Yikachu tells me a lav that's not equal to all, that's limited to the Kahanim, such as Gerusha, especially unique halacha, that teaches me that. Ikka the army, we're going to go the other way. Kicha itzrichale. I need the pasuk Lo Yikachu. Why? Salkadei dechamin, and I would have said ligva mituma. Now, what does it say by Tuma, guys? She's not in the ballpark. Yeah. So I would have said Huadin, every single Aveira not in the ballpark. Huadin Gerusha, she won't be in the ballpark. Kamash Malon, that Kicha to tell me she's in the ballpark. Kamash Malon, she's in the ballpark. So the bottom line is, we held serve. So far, we've questioned Rabbi Yehuda Marav whether a Chalala, Bas Koyin is Mitzvah, not marry a Chalal, and the answer is she is not. However, vis-a-vis a Gerusha, she would be Mitzvah to go ahead and not marry the Kain. Rav Papa, Rav Huna, Brady, Yeshua, Ikloi, L'Shinsiv, it said, Rashi's, Bach says, the Nitzvu came to the town of Nitzvu, La'asrei, the Ravidi Barovin, the house, the place of Ravidi Barovin, Boy Minaya, the Yisra Ravidi Barovin, Kusru, Ksheris, Linasi, Pasulin, Aloi. Our Ksheris, woman of Bas Kayin, or Bas Yisrael, could she marry a Chalal? Could she marry a Chalal? So Amalu, Rav Papa, Tinisu, you learned it. I mean Bas Kayin. Esra Yuchsin, Alomi Bavel, There were 10 yuchsim that came up from Bavel. Kahanim, Levim, Yisraelim, Chalolim, Gerim, Becharurim, Afrid Avadim, Umamzerim, Nesinim, we're familiar with that, right? And the Gavonim and Shtukim, we say in the street, right? But Sufi is what they were scared that they were gathered up in the house, right? So Kahan Levim Yisraelim Mutarm Lav Zebazeh, Levim Yisraelim Chalolim Gerim Mutarm Lav Zebazeh, Geri Karunim Mamzerim, Nesinim, Shtuki, Asufi Mutarm Lav Zebazeh. If you look at hen, it's the chalal like Katani, but it doesn't say chalal like Katani. So l'chayr it's a kasha. How can you say that? What? That they're not musar? You see, they are musar. When you see that a bas kohen came out of chalal, no, it's not included in the list. Amalei Rav Huna b'Rei Yeshua kol heicha dahani nasvei mahani bahani nasvei mahani Katani, where they can both marry both ways. That the list is included. The list is going both ways. But however, kohen even the ilu boil and mince of chalala asirule, since the kohen could not marry a chalala. Like Katani, right? Therefore, what? We didn't learn the other way around. Okay, therefore we didn't learn the other way around. And in other words, you want to ask me a kasha from here that what you see they can't marry? No, the reason it's not listed is not because they can't marry. The reason they're listed is because what? We're only listing that goes both ways. She can marry him and he can marry her. But where he can't marry her, even though she can marry him, we didn't list it. Again, one more time. What's the list over here where he can marry her and she can marry him? So, Fred the Gemara, you didn't include the case of the bas kohen marry a chalal. I'll tell you why. Because the kohen can't marry a chalala. So, if he can't marry chalala, we didn't list the other one. But who didn't you in achinami she could marry? Okay. Now, so anyway, Asla Kamei the Rav Idi Baravin. They came in front of Rav Idi Baravin, Rav Yeshua. And Rav Huna and Rav Papa, they came in front. Rav Papa, Rav Huna, Rav Yeshua. They came in front of Rav Idi Baravin. Amalu Dardaki Mankinda Hachi Am Rav Yehuda Marav Leichuzru Ksheris Leinasi Lepsula. The previous generation, Rav Yehuda said in Rav that a woman is not mitzvah to marry a chalal, which is the concluding statement. Okay, guys, let's go back to the Mishnah. I paid Dalet Amar Aleph. We're parallel to the Rashi, 4 lines down. Rashi parallel to Rashi. Shniyos M'divrei Seifrim. Okay. Now, just again, there's a whole list of shniyos. Just one for illustration purposes. Amy Moy. So you have two brothers. And to one of them, his grandmother's asa to him. Aim Imo would be asa to him, and if you marry his grandmother, then he would be over on a shniyos larayas. So it would be asa to the husband, but the brother from the same father but a different mother, it won't be his aim Imo. So it would be mutal liyavam. Okay, says the Mishnah. So shniyos m'divrei seifrim shniya lebav le'shniya liyavam. If that's the case I just gave you, then it would be asa to the husband and mutal to the yavam. Asur liyabal mutal liyavam shniya liyavam. And let's say the Emim was a Shnei Liyavam, like Shnei Labal, Asur Liyavam, Uteres Labal, Shnei Lazel Lazeh, Asur Lazel Lazeh. Okay, now here's what we need. Ein la like Ksuba. She doesn't get Ksuba. Filet Paris, she doesn't get Paris. We said that usually if you redeem her, you get Paris. In this case, you wouldn't. In other words, you don't have to redeem her, so you don't have to make up for the Paris. We usually would have to pay for the Paris, but here you don't. Blame Mizainis. Mizainis is written in the Ksuba. You should support her the whole time she's an Almana. Filet Belois is the clothing. Vavlad kasha, the kafan is lahaitzi. However, amanul kain gadol grush v'chalutza l'kain hedyet mamzer s'sin yisrael basrol in a sin ula mamzer yesh them ksuba, they have ksuba. So we have a contrast over here. Why did the Rabbanan think it didn't shnei royas? You don't get a ksuba. By the mamzer, you do get a ksuba. Okay, we're going to spend the rest of the share on this Indian about the ksuba. Okay, says the Gemara. Boy mine bnei biri, name of a place in Rav Sheshes. Mordechai and Pei Amid Aleph in the middle of the page. Pei Amid Aleph in the middle of the page. Boy, my name Bnei Biri Mev Sheshes. Shniya lebal, Shniya liyavam. She's a second to the Baal and not to the Yavam. That was our first case, right? She's the grandmother of the husband, but not a grandmother of the Yavam. Yesh la ksuba me Yavam eloi. Do you get a ksuba from the Yavam or not? Now we know you don't get a ksuba from the husband, but if the husband dies and the grandmother's falling to the brother, would you get a ksuba or not? What's the studim of the shaila? Right. What's the stud? Kivin the amamar ksubasa al nichsei bala rishoin. Since we say the ksuba is on the nechasim of the bal rishoin, less law. So just like the husband doesn't have to pay a ksuba, and the chiyuv, the lien of the ksuba, is on the first husband, and since he doesn't have to, the yavam doesn't have to. Dilma kivan the ilu less la me rishoin. Since if the husband did not have to pay the ksuba to kindle rabbanon misheni, the rabbanon metakin from the yavam isla, there is. So in other words, there's halacha. We learned this early in the Masechta that he takes his place. The lien is on the property of the dead person. If he doesn't have, they metakin what that it should be easy to get rid of her. They metakin that he does as well. So here's the tzadim to the shaila. Here's the tzadim. Do we say that over here there's no ksuba, not because financial purposes? There's no ksuba because the chachamim went ahead and took away the ksuba for living in sin. They took away the ksuba. They took it away. So now, when he dies and that svara doesn't exist, would you say, well, it goes to him, the second guy? Why? Because if there's no ksuba by the first guy, he has to pay it. Or don't we say no? If the first guy doesn't have ksuba, he doesn't have ksuba. Those are the sudden to the shaila. So I'm Rav Sheshes Tinisua. Who's that? Who's at the ballpark? He's dead. No, it's not, she didn't lose the ksuba. She didn't get no. She wasn't at. Ain't look ksuba. There's no. They can't. She really should get a ksuba. You know, the svara is she should get. Any woman should get a ksuba. There's a reason you lose your rights to ksuba. So here he lost his rights. They cancelled him. That they cancelled her. They cancelled her. Right. So now.
The question is, do we continue the knas?
That because it doesn't exist now. So I'm Rav Sheshes Tinisua. Ksubasa al nichsei bala rishain. So Shma Mino, the it says openly what? Right? It says openly she doesn't get. Now listen to the law, guys. Listen to this. You have a stira minei ubei. What does it say? Ksubasa al nichsei bala rishain, meaning period. That's it. The ksuba is on the dead husband. And if it's a shnia to the husband, then what? So in other words, the din is on the first husband. And if it's a shnei labal, then the yavam doesn't get it. Mechlal de'ika de'isle miyavam. Mechlal, if it wasn't a shnei, you would get from the yavam, right? You're missing words, and that's what we have to learn. Ksubasa al nichsei bala rishain. If less lay rishain to kindle misheni. Ha. In other words, it's not a stira. The nichsei is on the first guy. And if the first guy doesn't have it, it's on the second guy. And if it's a shniya, then what? Then we can answer the question. The Yavim is not going to have to pay it off. That's it. Now, here's the question of the hour. You said, guys, in the Mishnah, we went through it. We said by the shniya, like suba, like misperis, like mizainis, like nothing. Why do we say by the kohen gadol, you have the ksuba? What about mezainis? It wasn't mentioned, right? It just said, what about mezainis? It just said ksuba. Would the kohen, amanul kohen gadol, would he have to go ahead and support her from the estate? That's what mezainis is. Would he have to support her? So that's Rabbi Elazar Shaila. Says the Gemara. Boy, me Rabbi Elazar. Yes, Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Elazar ben Padis, the Amoira, famous Rabbi Elazar ben Padis. Yes, from his Rabbi Yochanan. Amanul kohen gadol, gerusha v'chalutz l'kohen hedyet, which again is chayve lavim. Yesh lem mezainis. Do they have mezainis? Ain't lem mezainis. In other words, why would they have mezainis? Because they have ksuba. And why wouldn't you have mezainis? Why wouldn't you have mezainis? Again, because we're going to see, it's speaking of a case, Elam mezainis, that he goes overseas, she doesn't have support, she borrows money from somebody and wants him to pay up. Does he have to pay up or not? That's the mezainis over here. Says the one, what exactly is the case? What exactly is the case? If you tell me she's sitting underneath him, we want this marriage to be ended. This is Almanal Kain Gadol. So Mizainis Isla, you're going to continue to support of the ksuba that they stay together? We want to facilitate a divorce. We don't want to go ahead wide and keep the marriage intact. We want to get rid of it, right? We want to get rid of it. We don't want them staying together. So of course that can't be the case. Guys, one more time. What's Yitzad that she'd get Mizonis? That there's a ksuba. So this ksuba, when you leave, the guy's gonna pay the ksuba. But but this is a marriage we don't want. What does Mizonis do? It facilitates staying together. We don't want that. So of course that's not of course, and that's the scenario you're not gonna get Mizonis. So like Tzricha, what's the case? He went overseas. And she didn't want to eat. The lovesa, and she borrowed money. She took out a credit card. She borrowed. The achla, and she ate. And now he shows up. My mizoini tonight ksuba ninu midi islay ksuba islay mizoinis. In other words, over here, you're gonna not continue to support. You're gonna pay up an old debt. So it's not going to go ahead and facilitate what? Staying together. It's simply who pays this chayv? Guys, understand the difference. If it's mizoinus and ongoing to support her, of course it's not a shaila. Of course we want them to get divorced. Right? Because after all, we don't want them staying together. The case intact is where it's an old loan. We'll let them go get out, but it's an old loan now, meaning she borrowed money for mizoinus. Does he have to pay for it or not? And the sad being, since it's mizoinus in the ksuba, and she has the ksuba, he'd have to pay, or maybe not. Dilma ksuba dil meshaka b'nafik isla. Ksuba, which is the purpose, take and get out, go. Mizoine dilma ta'akiv gabe. Mizoine, maybe she'll stay by him. Leslie, oh, you're such a nice guy. You're paying off the loan. I think I like this, right? So don't be so nice. So that's the shaila. That's good. It's kishmak shaila. What?
Why wouldn't it be like a knas that he would have to pay?
But again, because he has ksuba. If you knas, you shouldn't have ksuba. If we cancel him, he shouldn't have ksuba. We're canceling him, he has to pay. So that's it. So your side is you're saying you should have to pay. Okay. So that's the side of the ksuba. That's the same side. Okay, says the Gemara. Amalei. So Rav Yochanan answered Rebbe Laza, Lesla. She doesn't have mezainis. Lesla, you don't have mezainis. Fred the Gemara Tanya Yeshla, you do have mezainis. Kitanya hi la achamisa. Right? After misa. In other words, after he dies, where there is no svara to facilitate a divorce because it's not longer necessary, then mezainis you can then there's not a problem. When did I say it? Is when he's alive. So is the Amar Amalei Tanya Yeshla, right? Fred the Gemara Yeshla ha. What do you mean Yeshla? We want him to get out. Avela Tanya Yeshla ki Tanya hi la achamisa. You have to misa. Tanaban. Alman l'kain gadol gerusha v'chalus l'kain hedyet Yeshla ksuba. She has a ksuba after he dies. Paris mizainis. Balois, right? Clothing. The warning, the clothing, the warning, if he took nichsei miloig and he wore out the clothing, he'd have to pay up. V'hi psula, she's psula, she's a chalala because of the bia. No, she can't marry a kayin. She's a chalala, she's pasal marry a kayin. Uvlad the pasal, and the child is pasal, and the child is pasal. The koifin aysar lahaitzi, and we're going to force a divorce. That's the din by what? By Aman al-Kain Gadol. Shniyos v'divrei seifrim, ein lo ksuba, loy peris, loy mezainis, loy belois, vikashera. She's kosher to the kahuna. Uvlada kosher. He's not a chalol. The koifin is lahaitzi, and we force the divorce. So l'chayra guys, it's enough in the kasha. How come we're so ksuba by just the spoken ksuba by the avera of Kohen Gadol le almana, which is deraisa, and the rabbanon shniyos laroyas. Lose the ksuba. Like what's the underlying svar of this machlokes, right? We would all in the middle of the night, if you'd all wake us up, we'd all say, "What are you talking about?" If you have a choice, which gets ksuba, you say, "Of course, she gets the ksuba by the drabonon," and right. Oh, so very good. Some Amr Shim ben Elazar says of Shim ben Elazar, "Mifnei ma amru." Why do we say almana l'koyin gadol yesh la ksuba? Mifnei shehu pasel. He's a pasel. He's why he's a pasel. V'hi psula, right? The kohen is going to be he's pasel. I mean, I think he loses his kuna gedayla, right? He's out as the kohen gadol, right? He was the kohen gadol. V'chol makom shehu pasol v'psula. When he's pasol and she's pasol, kansu oisoi ksuba. We're going to cancel him the ksuba. Right? Okay. Now, why is this? Why is this? Why? I mean, there's got to be a reason behind it. Okay, so now we'll see. They're both kasha. We're going to cancel ksuba. Okay, guys, let's start the Gemara off with one premise. Who wants to get married more, the man or the woman? Right, the woman, right? We know throughout, right? Raitza, Yosem Ish, Raitza, Ish, not Alisa, Isha, Ratzali Nasei. Tavla Mesiv, Tandoim, and Mesiv Amalai, better to sit together and to sit alone. Women want to get married. Men need to get married. Women want to get married. That's like it does. Okay? So now, if she is going to come puzzle from this marriage, meaning she's at a loss over here, she's going to become puzzle kahuna, a child will be puzzle. It must be who's forcing the issue. He is. So what's the halacha? The cancer that he has to give the ksuba. Masha'en came where no big spitz because she's still mutter to the kahuna. Child's still mutter to kahuna. So why do we samech on the rule of thumb that what? She's forcing the issue, the envelope. She wants to get married. So what are we going to do? We're going to cancel ksuba. We're going to cancel. Very interesting psychology of people. Interesting people who, in other words, let's start off with the point over here is a ksuba, right? So, okay. So now, therefore, when they're both puzzle, meaning he's got something, so therefore we're going to cancel him. So they're both kasha, we're going to cancel her. Let's see the top Rashi for a second. Kansu is like ksuba. Kloimar, loy kansuha, mishar kol nashim. We're not going to cancel her. But hayde kansua rabbanon l'shniya ksuba. Why do we cancel the shniya? Kadesh leitis akiv etzloi, that she shouldn't stay by him. The kivin leit to havilach ksuba minei, since she does not going to gain anything monetarily by staying with him. Shaf galev enough, she'll leave. Abel hacha, but when they're both puzzle, leit sarich. You don't need that svar. The memelech shaf galev. She's going to leave by herself. The kivin who nifsel al yada, since she becomes puzzled through what. Since he becomes puzzled through her, yesh katata b'neihem, there'll be a fight. There's going to be a constant struggle. So therefore, knas is on him. Okay, so now we have one shita. The shita arose of Shimon, the rule of thumb. When they're both puzzle, knas is on him. When they're both kasha, the knas is on her. That's the shita of arose of Shimon. Now,
with shield of Arias. So once she has relations with him, so then she becomes puzzled.
No,
also,
she does not. She does not.
Why not?
Because she's kshera. Because it's not in. She doesn't come as Zion. There's no Isra Arayis there. There's no Erev. There's no Isra in the Torah.
But she's not supposed to be married to him. I thought
It
anybody
does
that's
not.
married to somebody that you're not supposed to.
Only Midaraisa. Not Midarabana. You see, she's kshera. You see before she Gemara.
I know, yeah.
I'm explaining. Okay. I'm explaining to you. So that's only that you heard is by Nisa Deraisa. It's Nisa Deraisa. Now, Rabbi says, Halalu divrei Torah, Kain Gadol and Alman is divrei Torah. The divrei Torah in tzrichim chizuk, and divrei Torah do not require chizuk. Halalu divrei Seifrim, and this is divrei Seifrim. Halalu divrei Seifrim, which is what is Shniyas Larayis. Divrei Seifrim tzrichim chizuk. Good, they need a chizuk. Okay, so it's not. We have two reasonings. So, by midaraisa, even though we think we know machmir, the chumr is in itself. Therefore, the ksuba remains intact. Mashen came by divrei seifrim to facilitate that it doesn't happen. We'll cancel the ksuba. Davaracha zehu margila. In one case, by the amal kain gadol, he is forcing her. Vizu he margila so, and by amal by the Shniyas Larayis, she is forcing him. Davaracha man Ketani. And this Davaracha, who's it going on? Is it going on Rabbi Elazar, Reb Shimon, or is it going on Rabbi? Guys, again, we have two sheetas over here. We have the sheet of Rabbi Elazar, Reb Shimon of the case of Pasal Shera, and then we have Rebbe's Midaraisa de Rabbana, and then we have a Svara That svara is it a svara in Rabbi Elazar Shimon or is it a svara in Rebbe? Guys, it's not a third shita. It's a svara. Is it a svara in Rabbi Elazar Shimon or it's a svara in Rebbe? Man Katanila says the Gemara Ikadiami Rabbi Elazar Shimon Katanila. Rabbi Elazar Shimon said it. In other words, Umat Tam Kamar, and he's coming to explain his svara of psula ksher ksheira. Matam Amru who pasal v'hi psula kansuay saksuba. Why if he's pasal when he lives with her, and she's pasal when she marries him? Manul kain gadol we consider ksuba v'shehu magila because he is going ahead and he's forcing the issue. In other words, she doesn't want to have a kid's pasal. She's scared of him. He's the one obviously doing it. Umatam hu kasha v'ksheira. And what's the reason when they're both the Beisai from kasha? Right, Chaim kasha. She's kasha. He's kasha. Kansu oisa ksuba mifnei shehi magila so. Because she says I have nothing to lose. Good. Ikadiami Rebbe Katanila. There are those who say that no, this svara is not a svara in Rabbi Elazar Shimon. It's a svara in Rebbe. Good. Now, guys, what did Rebbe say? By the Raisa you collect the ksuba. By the Rabbanon you what? By the Rabbanon. She loses a ksuba, right? By the way, she loses ksuba. Kain hedya lechalutza, guys. Kain hedya lechalutza. The Rabbanon deraisa. The Rabbanon. What did the Mishnah say? She gets a ksuba. Rebbe's niskasha chalutza atuat shnil aroyis. Why by shnil aroyis? Is the Rabbanon? Your svara is what? Your svara is that what? By every Rabbanon, she loses a ksuba. I'll show you the Rabbanon Mefurish in Mishnah, Kayin Hedit Lechalutza, which is the Rabbanon, and it's told me in the Mishnah, Mefurish in Mishnah, she collects the Ksuba. So the Matam is not coming to go ahead and explain Rebbe. Rebbe explained the Gans Geschmack. The rice and the Rabbanon. The rice we don't cancel because it doesn't need a starkite. But Shen came to Rabbanon, which needs a buttress, a support. Then we can go ahead and say that she loses a ksuba if it goes through with it. So if that's the case with the Rabbanon, you need a support. And you lose ksuba, lachlutza also should do. So that Rab is coming to answer that. You guys good? Shmak. Says the Gemara. The chalutza kashalei. The chalutza the Rabbanon v'isle ksuba. Had Amar kivin the pasala bitruma. Put the word bitruma. The guys there. Kivin the pasala b'truma the Rabbanon, since she's what? She doesn't want him, since she'd rather not go ahead, what? And eat truma. She wants to eat truma, right? She doesn't want him, right? Because if she goes ahead and becomes a chalutza, she won't be able to marry a kohen. She'll be pasal Rabbanon. So zera magila v'zuvi magila so. So that's coming to answer up. Since she lose the right to eat truma, he's the one forcing the issue, right? And that's the Hainu Dova Acha de Kama. Okay, so right, let's go, guys. Let's see what we have so far. We have in the Mishnah we have two dinim. We have a din of vad of Kohen Gadol. Just let's say Kohen Gadol to Almano, Kohen Hedil Gerusha. That you do collect the ksuba, correct? And Mizonis and everything else. Good. You have the din of Shrias Rabbana that you lose the ksuba. Fred, what's the difference? We have two svaras. We have the svara of Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon that in both places where the pasal, then we cancel him. In both places where the kosher, we cancel her. And matam kama, what's the reason for that? One, she's forcing the issue. One, he's forcing the issue. Where is psula? She's going to be pasal. She's going to become a chalala, and she won't be able to marry a kohen. And where's her child will be pasal? She doesn't want to marry him. So who's causing it? He is. And therefore, what? Who's going to be paid ksuba? He is. And Mashen came where she has nothing to lose, right? Because the kid is kosher and she's kosher. So even if she gets divorced, she'll still have to marry a kohen because the relation would not render her apostle. Clearly, the Gemara like that, right? And the kid would be kosher. So we go on to the comment to the time. Right? So she's right. So she wants to stay married. So she's forcing the issue. So take away the ksuba. Good. That's the way Rabbi Elazar Shimon. Rabbi said no. Rabbi said a different svara. The reason why the Raisa does not need a chizik, since the Raisa you do not need a chizik, memela what? The ksuba is on the husband. Masha'en came to Rabbanon, which needs a chizik. If you open the Rabbanon to Kedin, you'll lose your ksuba. Okay, on that we had a kasha. I see the Rabbanon to Kedin, you don't lose your ksuba by chalutza, because by chalutza the svara is that what she won't want to marry because she wants to eat truma, and she'll lose the right to eat truma. So therefore, since that exists, that's in existence. That's the difference between chalutza and the kshera, and therefore he'll force the issue and not her. And the melawat. In the Meilovat, he have to give the ksuba.
Why does she doctor want to eat truma? She wants to eat.
What?
She wants to be supported. She wants to eat.
No truma. She's a chalutza. chalutza. A chalutza can't marry a kohen. In other words, it has to be something that she lose the right to marry a kohen. Or else, what are you talking about? Eating is anything. She can marry anybody. What? No, it has to be something, a reason innate in chalutza why she would not want to go through go through a marriage. She would become a zayin if she's Says the Gemara. So my ikka ben Rebbe l'Reb Shimon ben Elazar. So what's the difference between Reb Elazar and Shimon ben Elazar? So in other words, so that's the case by chalutza. If he marries the chalutza, she didn't want it because then she won't be able to eat truma. Okay, very good. Says the Gemara. My ikka ben Rebbe l'Reb Shimon ben Elazar. What's the nafkamina between Rebbe and Reb Shimon ben Elazar? Okay, my nafkamina. Rav Chisda mamzeres unesina li Yisrael ikka binai. Okay, guys, this is really, really halk up. A mamzeres and a sin li Yisrael. So let's leave off the sin for a second. A mamzeres Yisrael, is that midaraisa midarabana? Well, Yavoy Mazim Kal Hashem Echad B'Sachim Echad Nekevis B'Fur Shemishno Madin B'Sech Yevamot. Out. She's out. Now, Mandi Amidaraisa Hanamidaraisa. So the mamzeres would collect the ksuba. That's Rebbe. Umandi Amfneshuhu Margila. And the reason is that what? Because she would force the issue. Ha hi margala lay. Here, she would force the issue. Why? She would want to be married to a Yisrael. Now, let's go through this. Yeah, she's a mamzeres. She's a mamzeres. Now, what does she gain out of this? What? No, what does she gain out of it? In other words, she has to. What she gains out of it is that her name is a little elevated. She's married to a Yisrael. The child is still a mamza, it doesn't make a difference. That we're not so worried about because there is a way in the realm of the world to get ahead and be matara mamza. If the mamza marries a shivcha, the shivcha is an eved. If you free the eved what is a Jew. So that the child's going to be a mamza is not going to go ahead and impede her from marrying the guy. So she'd want to marry him simply because it'll elevate her name. I'm a mamza, but I'm married to Yisrael. So she has what to gain. So also the Raisa the Gedin, Kitzlaf Pedek Suba, that's Rebbe. But like the svara of Rabbi Elazar, Reb Shimon, that it depends who has to gain. By the mamzeres to Yisrael, the mamzeres has to gain, and since she has to gain, she loses a ksuba. That would be the nafkamina between both of them. Okay. Now this is predicated upon that there's a way to be matar the mamzeres. Okay, so it says the Gemara the following. Rabbi Elazar, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Hukin, Sta'amar harizeh eved u'mamzer. If a mamzer will marry a shivcha, there's no being mitahar. It still would be a mamza. Holei margalei. She right. V'loi midi. So she didn't gain anything. Ella emo am Rabbi Yosef machse grushasoi mishenisa sekibinayu. If a person takes back his gerusha after she married somebody else, so it's a chayve lavim. So now, mandi am deraisa according to Rabbi, anami deraisa, and he'd have to pay the ksuba. Mandi am fneishu margila, he margalole. Right, since the what is she wants to be married, guys. What's the halach of the Machshir Gushasai's kid? Guys, it's fine. How do you know it's fine? Because why did we learn this Masechta? Tayeva he Tayeva v'lay benasa Tayeva. You might not recall that, right? No, he's Machshir Gushasai, right? Tayeva, but not him. So Mamela, great. Her kid's good. We wanted to be married, right? She has what to gain. She would lose the ksuba according to Elazar Shimon, and according to Rabbi, since it's the rice, she will lose the ksuba be on him. So that's an afkamina. So you didn't gain anything. Ella Amra Papa Bu'ula l'koyin gadol ikabinayu, a non-besula to a koyin gadol. So now, so you're only mevatel and asay over here. She's not an almana. She's just not a basula. She's not an almana, just a basula. Mandi amidaraisa, hanami deraisa. Even though it's an asay, it's not a lav, but it's deraisa. Therefore, he'd have to pay the ksuba. Mandi amfneshu margila, he margila. That'll be very, very good. So what? She has nothing to lose over here. She's married. She's in a state of marriage, which she wants on along, and therefore, what? She would be able to go ahead and she lose a ksuba. Fred Gemara. Ben Yaakov Dama, Yesh Chalol Mechai Vasei, So she has what to lose. So that teretz doesn't work. In other words, what are we doing? Going back and forth, guys. The nafkamina. Als the raisa, he's going to have to pay the ksuba. Als the rabba, als not, and if the svara is, even though it's the raisa, she has nothing to lose, then she's going to lose the ksuba. So what are we doing? We're giving cases she has nothing to lose, she has nothing to lose, and then we're saying in each case she has what to lose, she has what to lose. She'll either be a mamza, and always be a mamza because you never clear it up. She'll either child will be a chalal, won't clear it up. Either way, it won't happen. It says Ella Amra Vashi Machsha suffix Machzir suffix Saitasa Yekubinaya. Now, guy's going ahead. He warned his wife not to be behind closed door with a man. She was behind closed door with a man. Adam saw she was behind closed doors. There's not Adis to the Bia, but there's Adis there behind closed doors for that period of time. And she's now being taken to drink. Good. He's not allowed to be with her. Aslabal till she drinks. Mandam deraisa, hanami deraisa. It's also the raisa, and he should collect tzuba. She's very happy to be in that situation. She's not happy in this situation. She'd rather drink. She'd rather drink than become puzzled to the kohen. Right? Again, he would make a puzzle to the kohen. She'd rather drink. The Elo Amar, we conclude. Amar Baravashi, Saita Vadai Ikabi Minayu. Vada, she's Vada Saita. So she's Vada Saita Asta Raisa. She nonetheless, he would have to pay the ksuba. Masha Enkain, like the Shita that she has nothing to lose. Over here, she has nothing to lose. Right? She's already, she's a Saita, she's puzzled, she's puzzled kahuna already. There's nothing to lose. In that case, she'd rather be married, and Cain there she would lose her. What?